Okay, so we'll just give it maybe a couple more minutes for people to trickle on in, and then we'll get started.
There's a meetup that I went to a couple weeks ago. They throw you right into doing readings. You meet up and you do readings on Sunday morning.
Ooh, yeah, Michelle, who's online right now, she's done things like that where it's like a circle of people getting together and developing their abilities.
Yeah, you just do readings immediately. Like everyone asks a question and everyone does a reading for that person.
Yeah, it's a great way to get your feet wet for sure.
Yeah. It's Sunday. It's every second Sunday, 11 o'clock. It's a meetup.
Nice. Feel free to link that in the chat if you're so interested, so that we can look at that. Hi, Jessica. Hi, OG.
There we go. Hello.
Hi. So just one more minute or so. Oh wait, there's people. Okay. So may I ask if you guys want to put in the chat where you're tuning in from? That'd be cool if you're so interested in just typing in where you're from or where you are right now.
Me?
Yes, any of you. You don't have to, Linda. I mean, but they don't know. I know where you're from, so.
You just type it in. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, you don't have to then. I know you're probably like on your phone or something. It's in the chat. It's an option on the app on your phone.
Oh, I'm on the computer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's also on the computer. It's at the bottom.
Where it says chat?
Yes. If you click on that, then you can type it in.
I can click on chat.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Jessica, the snow in mid-Atlantic, very nice. Very nice. Yay.
Yep.
Okay, let's get started, everybody. I'm so happy you guys are here. Thank you for joining me. My name is Ellen, and I am excited to take the role of, completing more of what Michelle Andres tended to do. She intended to have a Tarot Tuesdays every week and really explore the tarot more in depth by number. So she did the aces through the fours, and I will review that, and then we'll carry on with the fives tonight. So the Hierophant, which is number 5, and the Major Arcana, the 0 through 21, the 22 first cards of the tarot, and then the 5 of Pentacles, the 5 of Wands, the 5 of Cups, and the 5 of Swords. And I'm really excited to just dig in and actually ask you guys if you have any insights too on songs or quotes or catchphrases or nouns or how you would rename the suits, like fire. Oh, yep, she's got the 5 of Wands right there. Very
You've
nice.
got to fight for your right to party, the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, fight. That's a great song for that. Fight for your right to party. Yeah, because the 5 of Wands is kind of known as like the ego battle, where like there's conflict only in the fact that you're maybe letting your ego get in the way, or there's pride, but there's also a reaching toward a better ideal, but especially with the 6 of Wands falling, which is a victory card. So we'll go over all that, and I'm thankful that you're here, and I'm going to start screen sharing in a second. Let's see, Tarot Tuesdays. And actually, let's first, I'm going to review some of the things that we said for the aces. Let's look at basically the aces, to review real quick, are gifts from spirit. Okay, so anytime you see an ace and there's usually some kind of a hand, it looks like from God or from spirit, who is giving something forward, and this isn't the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, giving something forward to the person in the card. And I think that's really important to look at because we need to remember that the ace is the pure potential of whatever that suit represents. So for example, the Ace of Swords is a new, with ace, idea or information or insight, something that comes from the mind, which is air. Thoughts, beliefs, ideas, inspiration. A lot of times go ahead, Linda.
Oh, no, no.
A lot of times too, that's where the swords bridge into the wands, is that you can look at like wands as being acting on the thought. So the wand is like saying, hey, I've got this creative inspiration, this idea, and I'm going to run with it, versus it just being in the thought bubble form with the sword suit. And then the Ace of Cups, that's an overflowing cup of, gift from spirit. Usually the Ace of Cups refers to self-love and not just external love, because that is the gift that we carry forth from our time in the womb. Think of the grail in the womb, like that the overwhelming waters of life are with you, with your mother inside her uterus. And imagine that when a baby is born, because the aces are kind of like the baby, the seed of each suit, that when that baby is born, there's so much potential to be had, and that is what each ace and each suit represents, is potential. And just like with the Ace of Wands, there's burning passion, because the wand is like the fiery baton. And then with the Ace of Pentacles, it's a gift that is one of abundance. So you may get the Ace of Pentacles when you're starting a new business. You may get the Ace of Pentacles when you have a new idea that's becoming manifested materially in your own life, that you can see in front of you, because Pentacles are about the materials, health, wealth, money, finance, career, home, car, all the things of the tangible world. So does anybody have any questions so far on the aces as I review? Any questions or any comments on the aces? No? Okay, and then to review, continuing that, we have the two. The two is about partnerships and duality and choices. So for example, the choice card is often known as the Two of Swords. That's a correlation. It's like the crossroads. If you look in your deck with you guys have your decks with you, the Two of Swords is that, like, she's blindfolded and she's got her arms up like this. That makes a lot of sense with that energy, because ultimately it's that time where you're evaluating if you want to go with your head or with your heart. That's another key concept of the Two of Swords. And another thing about that is with the Two of Wands, that is kind of like the answer to the Two of Swords for me. Like, you can find little gems here and there as you go throughout the decks and the numerology of the cards. If you're in a state of doubt and confusion and needing to find peace and balance with the Two of Swords, if you look to the Two of Wands, it's somebody who's partnering with their own purpose. Something that I learned in my youth, I'm 28, is that when I was really attached to somebody romantically, or who I thought I would want to be in a romance with, and they were not interested, I had to come to terms with that. So what I did was, instead of me attaching myself to a person, I healed that cord and I became attached more to my life purpose. So I replaced the cord that was connected to somebody who was in another connection with somebody else, and he didn't want to pursue that with me. I was like, okay, well, what can I do to have a stronger, more lasting cord to something I enjoy? And I realized that, enchantment, divinations, and cards and all that are part of my purpose. So I'm not necessarily attaching, but I'm more like devoting time and love and consideration and focus toward this business. And that is filling up my cup. So like, and segue to that, Two of Cups is another partnership card. It's that union between masculine and feminine, between polarities and duality and all that. But it's also being with like a soul friend. I've learned this term, Gaelic term, Anam Cara, and that means soul friend. And I feel like a lot of times in these kinds of situations with friends, like for example, people on this Zoom call right now, you guys are probably like-minded already because you've come to this decision to learn more about tarot. And so the Two of Cups can be a partnering with people who have a similar interest to you. It doesn't just have to be about soulmates, although Two of Cups is definitely a soulmate twin flame type card. And then the Two of Pentacles, balancing, juggling money and work and play. And then any questions about the twos before I move on to the threes? Any comments or anything? Well, and when we get to the fives, we'll talk about different action phrases and stuff like that to make sure we can cover today's actual topic. The threes, the Three of Wands, manifestation, expectancy, waiting for your ships to come in. That's kind of the key phrase of that card with the Three of Wands. Threes are about creativity. Threes are about inspiration. Threes are about collaboration, like with the Three of Pentacles. With in the actual Three of Pentacles card on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, they're building a cathedral. They've got the lesson plan. I mean, the building plans, the blueprints out, and all that. You could say lesson plans if you're into teaching. Three of Pentacles is a great energy for collaborating with other teachers, like at a school. And if you look at that image of the Three of Pentacles, you can see that they're kind of gathered together under this, palace, kind of like an archway. And that's really cool because, my trick with learning tarot is that you try to imagine yourself in the card. What would you be thinking? What would you be feeling? What would you be doing? And so that's really powerful. And then the Three of Swords is known as the heartbreak card. It's not anything to wonder about too much because you've got the three swords piercing through the heart. But it's a message of release, because a lot of times we bottle up our emotions. And I think release and knowing that we can have catharsis and we can have just like a breath of like, okay, that was horrible. Let's see what I can do to heal myself, which is why right after the Three of Swords is the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is the recuperation phase. So if you look at all these cards in order of how they go within the suit, the swords, the pentacles, and what have you, then you'll see the storyline more. And because what happened with the Two of Swords before the Three of Swords was that decision, and maybe that decision caused you emotional pain with the Three of Swords. Is that making sense, everybody, so far? Yeah? Okay. Thank you so much for being here. And I am offering a comprehensive class on Friday the 12th. So if anybody's interested, whoever's here today, I'll make sure I reach out to you and get you the information for the class. It's $50 per person for the event, but it's really worth it. And if you tell me you're going and you end up coming, I'll make sure that you get a free tarot and oracle reading with me over the phone or Zoom. And that's like a $60 value that you get for free if you attend my Tarot for Beginners class on Friday the 12th at 6:30. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, that's my website, and I'll put in the full.com, enchantmentdivinations.com. And then continuing on with the threes, the Three of Cups is a celebration card. It's like that revelry, gaiety kind of vibe. Sometimes people call it like the third party energy. When I looked into a lot of like twin flame soulmate type readings, if there's a Three of Cups and it's corresponding directly to some kind of a relationship, it's important to see if there's any third party involvement. It doesn't always mean that. You have to look at the other cards around it and the person's situation who you're reading for. but it's a really key thing there to look at. Anytime you get a 3 in a reading that's about a relationship, there may be, it may not even be like somebody, you know, who's having like an affair or whatever. It could be somebody, like if you're dating a guy and his mother is overbearing or something, and then you look at the 3 of cups like, oh, there's me, there's this guy, and then there's his mother. You know, it's 3 energies is the point. And also in numerology, with energies, we look at 1 + 1 = 3, because you have a mother, a father, and the baby they produce. 1 + 1 = 3. So there's that. And then let's see, 3. And then going into the 4s, the 4 of Pentacles, there's a heart that's been covered with a pentacle. So it's kind of like a miserly, like resourcefully contained person, somebody who is watching what they spend or watching who they connect with, being kind of guarded, but maybe justifiably so. 4 of Cups, that is like that boredom, ennui, like kind of disillusioned, disenchanted energy with like not wanting, because there's a person showing. I mean, there's spirit, there's God, there's a hand extending out a cup, and this person's like, I'm just meditating right now, I can't handle this. And then the 4 of Swords is that recuperation card I mentioned, the hospital card it's called sometimes. The 4 of Wands is the honeymoon card. It's like 2 portals, right? So it's like 2 wands over here, 2 wands over here. It's like red pill versus blue pill, like in the Matrix. That's how I look at that. When people get like 11:11 a lot, when they are trying to wake up to like this extreme reality of like our thoughts create our actions and our thoughts are things. A lot of people, when they're awakening to their divine potential, will see 11:11 and 1:1:1, and the 4 wands are 2 11s when they stand up all together. So, and that's another reason I think that the 4 of Wands is called the honeymoon card, is that it's that phase of like starting afresh with a new chapter in your life, which is definitely what happened to Neo in the Matrix. And then, so we're on to the 5s now. Any questions before I go into today's number? Any comments? Anything you want me to look at? Okay. And I'm gonna start sharing. Back to my slides. Share. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Not yet. It's just black.
Now.
You can see now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I chose an oracle card from one of my favorite decks. It's either from the Work Your Light deck or the Starseed Oracle. Birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Very thematic with the Age of Aquarius that we've stepped into, that we're more readily fulfilling now. That we're past the dawning phase and we've actually started the Age of Aquarius, a lot of astrologers believe. And then I would like to go into what is tarot? This is from Biddy Tarot. Can you guys see where it says what is tarot?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got this from the Biddy Tarot website. I highly recommend her descriptions. It says the tarot is a deck of 78 cards, each with its own imagery, symbolism, and story. The 22 major arcana cards represent life's karmic and spiritual lessons, and the 56 minor arcana cards reflect the trials and tribulations that we experience on a daily basis. So big shifts with the majors, less big shifts with the minors usually. Unless there's like something big happening and you have to take into consideration every single card. If there are more major cards, like say the Hierophant or the Star or the World, then there are the minor arcana cards like the Knight of Pentacles or the 4 of Wands. Then you can maybe denote with all that whether it's a big shift in somebody's life or it's going to be just more day to day. But usually the cards will give you a lot of guidance in that. And then you can use your intuition for the rest, because remember, energies with these cards are meant to be more reflective and prescriptive than predictive. So if it's something that you believe like, oh man, I've got to say this to this person, even though it may not coincide directly with the reading itself, sometimes your intuition is going to like take over. And that's one of the reasons that I love using tarot and oracle, is that it helps me hone my intuition. So, and I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of us are interested in it, is that we can see its potential to expand our vision and our third eye. Within the minor arcana cards, there are 16 tarot court cards representing 16 different personality characteristics we may choose to express at any given time. So, like, the pages to the King's Page, Knight, Queen, King of each suit, which 4 and 4, 4 times 4 is 16. The minor arcana also includes 40 numbered cards organized into 4 suits, with 10 cards each, ace through 10, representing various situations that we encounter day to day. This is a very ancient practice. Tarot is ancient. Tarot was used by Thoth, or Thoth, Thoth, however you want to pronounce it. Egyptian energies, like so steeped in the fundamentals of our consciousness that even playing cards that we use for poker and blackjack and whatever, they're based off tarot. So that's how much the influence carried on. So every time you get out a pack of playing cards, know that tarot is the origin of that deck. Because each suit is clubs or wands, hearts or cups, diamonds or pentacles, and spades or swords. Nextly, the Hierophant. So that's a 5. So card meaning baptisms, weddings, marriages, forgiveness, teachers, tradition, and ceremonies. Positives are marriages and commitments, traditions, continued good advice, forgiveness for past transgressions. And the negatives are commitments you do not want, outdated tradition, judgment for lifestyle, being punished for doing the right thing. So when I believe that a great way to read reversals, by the way, is to take whatever the card means when it's upright and consider it as though it's a block or delay. So for example, with this card, with the Hierophant, with it being in reverse, it could mean that there are some marital problems. So it's a marriage card. That's the priest marrying a couple type of card. The Hierophant is a priest, and his companion is the his counterpart is the High Priestess, number 2 card in the Major Arcana, which we did cover. And going back to the High Priestess with the 2 and the Empress with the 3 and the Emperor with 4, these are all major figures in understanding our soul's journey. So something that, and also the Fool is 0 and 1 is a Magician. All these figures are people who the Fool is interacting with through this journey of the tarot. And so it's interesting to think that right after we meet the Emperor and before that the Empress, that the Fool now meets the Hierophant, who is basically like a spiritual advisor to this Emperor and Empress. Does that kind of make sense? Because he's a priest and he's about tradition. So you could even think of the Hierophant as being connected to schooling, as connected to church leaders in your life. And so if this card is reversed, maybe look at how people are interacting with tradition in their lives. This could have something to do with somebody in your reading that you're giving or giving yourself who is flouting tradition, who wants to be rebellious and start something new and different and fresh that is not based on standards or norms. That could be this card in reverse. That could be this card upright, depending on the other cards around it too. For example, if the Hierophant card were paired with, let's say, the 9 of Pentacles, then I would say something like, well, start a solitary project, because the nines are about solitude a lot of times too, like with the hermit, the nine is a hermit. Start a new project and be kind of rogue about it. Do something different with how you approach your life. So starting like a nonprofit, something that I've looked into recently is starting a nonprofit. And something I'm really inspired by, and volunteering at hospitals. And if I had the Hierophant with the Nine of Pentacles, I might say, oh my gosh, well, like, this is encouraging me to trust in spirit and start something new on my own. And then next, any questions? Oh, with the Hierophant, any songs come to mind? Any action words? I have this. Okay, it says the Hierophant and the Fives. We have named that card. So is there any like other name besides the Hierophant that any of you would be interested in like using for your own personal practice? Like any like teacher or something, like a name for the Hierophant that corresponds to look, there's a chat. Hold on, let me see the chat. Teacher, very good. The Pope, yeah, that's good too. Nice. Oh, and then Jessica said, did anybody see the commercial for the Christian Dior spring collection? It is about 15 minutes long, and it's based on tarot and the major arcana. The people in the tarot cards are wearing the collection. That is awesome, Jessica. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. And then if I were to give the Hierophant an action phrase, I might say something like counsel or divine counsel, because he's kind of like a connection between the material world and the spiritual world. He can take spiritual matters, or she can take spiritual matters and apply them in the material. Faith by George Michael, teacher. Oh, teacher. Nice. I like those. You guys see in the chat? Yeah, those are really cool. Yeah, that's cool. And then so any LY words that we can think of with the Hierophant, like traditionally might be one. And then let's see, what does Spirit want you to know? I think definitely what Spirit would want me to know with the Hierophant is to trust that the systems that were in place when my parents were my age are the systems that are going to keep standing strong now. So like systems like in politics that may actually be really scary to a lot of people to think like, oh my gosh, what if like this this huge this first world country we live in, what if it just went to pot, and what if something tanked? I think the Hierophant is calling us to ask ourselves, like, what can we do to support the institution of our families, the institution of churches, the schools. So I think that counsel is really necessary there. And then the Five of Pentacles, or Earth. Predictive tarot, meaning poverty, sickness, disease, loss, lack of resources, and love. Love is here for this reason. Love is in the Five of Pentacles because these people who are outside where this window with these pentacles are, it's said in the story about this card that they're in front of the Hierophant's church, and they're in the cold outside his church. And the love there is that he could let them in and warm them by the fire. And now would aid in us understanding the Six of Pentacles, the very next card in the suit, because it's an equal give and take, as an exchange. So they give of their, hey, I'm going to tell people about your church, whatever, and then in exchange for him offering them food and clothing and shelter and warmth from the snow. And then the positives are an amazing love life, good partnerships, loyal friendships, a fulfilling sex life, okay, happiness and affairs of the heart. And the negatives are poverty and bankruptcy, financial devastation, ill health, sickness and disease, disaster in business, and home loss. So any thoughts on this card? Let me see the chat. Oh yeah. Religiously, very good, Jessica, for the Hierophant. And I love how this actual Five of Pentacles card is applicable to the Hierophant himself. Because if that's his church, then he could easily let them in and they'd be out of the cold and they wouldn't, because this is kind of, for me, this is the abandonment card. Because why are these people walking in the snow if they're not like somehow forgotten about by people they were with or whatever? But it's a hopeful card in the sense that it's a phase. You're not going to be in the snow and the cold forever. And fives are all about change, and they're all about human conditions, which is what we'll see with the upcoming cards, the wands, the cups, and the swords. So any like adverbs or songs or quotes that you guys can think of for the Five of Pentacles? Let me see the chat. I hope this is helping everybody. Okay, let's see. Name that card noun. I would say like to like I would call it like almost poetically call it to be warm again. You know, oh I got something in the chat. Let's see. Oh, I could get no satisfaction. Rolling Stones, very nice.
Yeah.
On the outside looking in, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, yeah. And that's so cool because like ultimately when we are giving ourselves readings and also when we give readings for each other, we got to remember that some of those cards, yes, they seem kind of negative, but like always know that there's a silver lining to even the most horrid of scary cards, like you know that people think, oh, the Tower and the Death card. Like I actually heard somebody recently who said that they took the Tower and the Death card out of their deck because they didn't want like the negative aspects of those cards to be seen. But transformation is the key with any kind of situation in life. You know, transformation is what Death and the Tower bring. It's what pretty much all these cards bring immediately, is like there's a new realization and there's a way to apply your life creatively and the reflection of these insights. So that brings me directly to this segment of journal and memory. I mean, a memory I think I have associated with the Five of Pentacles is the one of like not knowing where my mother was when I was in like a big store. Like for example, if any of you have ever been lost in a mall or something and you're a little kid, that's scary and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm abandoned. I don't know where's my mommy, where's my daddy, all these things. And then but that's a phase, just like I said about the Five of Pentacles, it's a phase. And it's a stage where, you know, it's scary for a while, but more often than not, eventually you find each other and it's all okay again. And maybe that could have been a scarring event for you, or it could have just been like okay throughout the whole experience of it. But it doesn't have to be something that defines you. Nothing of like lower vibration should ever define anybody. Like what I mean by lower vibration is like with David R. Hawkins' scale of vibration and consciousness, enlightenment is at the very top, and at the bottom are like shame, guilt, fear, apathy. And you know, to raise our vibration consciously, we got to remember that the inner dialogue we have with ourselves and with each other is so important. And that we tell ourselves loving things, tell ourselves loving, caring things that we wish other people would say to us, say it to ourselves, and then you'll definitely manifest things and dreams that you've had in your life that you want to create for yourself, because you were so authentic with loving yourself and putting yourself, you know, in a situation where you're surrounded by love, that is naturally what you attract more of. So, you know, that's just a key component of all of this. And then okay, the Five of Wands or fire. challenges, obstacles, fights, disagreements, resistance, conflict. So fight for your right to party, definitely. I mean, because they're fighting each other, but they have a purpose. It's just that the purpose may be transient, maybe, just a transitional phase. It may not be like this big grand gesture or whatever. But positives, an exciting challenge, a chance to show your skill, sportsmanship, opportunity to grow, friendly competition. I mean, that's cool. Like if you're reading for an athlete or you're an athlete yourself, this is a sport card for sure. You have different like the Olympics. If you're reading about because you can read about events. That's another thing I love about tarot. You can read about events. You can read about the election. You can read about a coronation of a king or a queen or something. You can read cards about a book. That's not something that people often talk about. Is like you can read for something that you're interested in, not just like another person or yourself. You could read for other things. And so if I were reading for an athlete, and I would say like, well, hey, Five of Wands is that you battle with others to the top, but it's a worthwhile one because you want to show that you have had success and that you are going to rise to the top. But when this card is in its distorted version of itself, like with the negatives, it says a fight for affection, jealousy, feeling envious of others, not feeling worthy, and trapped in conflict. Just remember that there's got to be a remedy, like a healing way to approach each one of these cards. Because all these fives cards are kind of like challenges in a way. But a healthy way to approach the Five of Wands may be to listen more actively. Listen to the other person, listen to the other situation, circumstance at hand, and really try to uplift yourself and the others around you, and know that collaboration and collective correspondence are more powerful than embattled competition, and that competition doesn't have to be the way that things go, that you can connect with others and cooperate with others, and that is something that you find rewarding, and you feel like that's why the Five of Wands had to be experienced. So let's see, anybody want to share aloud or in the chat any songs or quotes, or let's see, Captain Rivalry. That's cool, Crystal. I like that. Nice. Yeah, rivalry is a really good word. Yes, because it's not so much that they're enemies of you. Enemy to me is kind of like Five of Swords, because it's a win or lose battle conflict with the Five of Swords, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, just thinking about that there's like a healthy rivalry.
I
Like
feel like there's space in there.
oh no, it's okay. Yeah, like Crystal, I'm kind of reminded of like high school rivals, right? Like with the Five of Wands, I'm reminded of like how different school systems had rivals, and we in New Clapper were called the Thunderbirds, and our rivals were like Wildcats or something like that, and it was kind of an interesting dynamic between all of us. Let me see the chat. Hold on. Where'd it go? I don't know what happened in the chat. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's see. Frenemies. Oh, nice, Chris. I mean, nice, Michelle. I have the Tiger. Great race. Very cool. I like all those. Yeah, those are really good. I have the Tiger. That is a motivational kind of a tune, isn't it? Frenemies. I love that. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys, for all this input. And then let's go. I'm gonna skip Five of Cups for a second, and we'll go to Five of Swords. Oh, and another thing I want to say for Five of Wands, is it's where the egos are kind of like in the forefront, but it doesn't have to be like something that ruins friendships. But it could be like, I think Five of Swords is a little more like cut and dry, and a little bit more like where there's more on the table to be lost. So Five of Swords: defeat, failure, loss, decrease in social standing, canceled plans, and humiliation. Wow. Positives, loss of something which wasn't great to begin with. Okay, so kind of knowing that there needs to be a separation between you and the thing that is leaving your life. Your enemy is receiving an empty victory. Okay, so yeah, a hollow victory, empty victory. That's a good way to put it. I also think that there's this kind of like battle of the mind, battle of wit with the Five of Swords, because the swords are about the mind, the air. Any other insights on that before I go into the negatives? No. Hold on, I gotta let my dog out 1 sec. Okay, and then negatives. Let's see. Progress you do not. Oh, okay. Progress you do not matter. Change you did not ask for. Results you did not anticipate. Which could be a blessing. There have been a lot of things that I've received in my life that have been kind of mixed blessings to me, but they end up being really positive. Like for example, I've had a lot of like manic episodes of bipolar 1 disorder, but I really value that I had them because they taught me so much about understanding trauma and integrating my life's purpose within my mood. So for example, if I'm really excited about like writing a new poem that day, and I know that my mood is supporting me writing that, I know that if I hadn't had the experiences of like euphoric mood that I'd had before, I wouldn't know how to handle it now. Practically taking an interesting approach with addressing my mood or any fluctuations throughout the day. And so that's something that I don't know that I knew that I would be appreciative of when I had my first few manic episodes. But I find that I'm a lot more creative than I would maybe be otherwise, intuitive, excited and excitable, compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic, all those words, like not just compassion for somebody I understand, but some people or situations I've never even seen. I just think that kind of raw emotion is so valuable because it helps me see and be able to walk in other people's shoes and know how connected we are as embodiments of spirit and how spirit is expressing in this world of matter through these bodies that we're in. We are our souls. Somebody asked me like, do we have a soul? I say we are a soul. So I think that's another thing that's realized with the Five of Swords is that we don't have to be defensive or codependent with others. We can be interdependent and connected in a healthy way, and that we can maintain our own boundaries. Because I think Five of Swords arises when there's been a boundary breach. Something like my family, they used to fight a lot, and then over the years, we just kind of calmed down and we got more settled into ourselves and into hanging with each other. So much so that we learned to see each other as valuable participants in our connection, and we stopped picking as many fights and all that, and we just started loving us for where we were in the moment. And I think Five of Swords is an energy of like there has to be a victory, but it's gonna include bloodshed. And I think to heal that's why the Six of Swords comes right after in this suit work that we're looking at. Because the Six of Swords is about escaping, or not necessarily escaping, but sometimes it can be escaping, but leaving a situation behind where we felt mentally afflicted and going across towards smoother waters on that boat, like in the card. Taking our swords with us and and those swords are like our preconceived notions, for example. But we're going towards smoother, less rocky waters on that Six of Swords, because with the Five of Swords, we felt a little bit attacked, for example. So there's that. And then let's see, fight, butting heads. Yeah, definitely itching. Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then last, any other thoughts on the Five of Swords? Let's see. Okay, and then the Five of Cups. Five of Cups, predictive tarot meaning: sadness, tears, separation, loss, death, loneliness, inheritance. Which I think that's interesting too, because you may be in a state of sadness and sorrow because you lost somebody, but then you don't realize that the two cups that are upright behind the person looking down at the three cups that are overturned, in those two cups, the uncle who just passed away or something left you an inheritance. And it's like that kind of feeling of like, oh my gosh, this is the crying over spilled milk card, by the way, Five of Cups. Because ultimately, like, if there's a loss, like where God closes the door, he opens a window, that kind of a vibe. And then it says positives: inheritances, large sums of money, learning from your mistakes, valuable experience earned. And negatives: the end of an important relationship, the failure of businesses, death of a loved one, depressive mood, and terminal illnesses. So I'll be the first to say that doctors don't know everything, and if they think that somebody in your family or even you has a terminal illness, make sure that if somebody in your family has been diagnosed with something, just know that their death, that body's decay, is between them and spirit. And I mean, I've read Mind Over Medicine by MD Lissa Rankin, and she talks about how, like, a lot of people, if they believe that they're gonna die, they will end up dying just because they believed it, even though they didn't even have something fatal. What is fatal anyway? I mean, like, so many people have come back from stage 4 cancer, and they live to tell the tale, and they're so like excited about life, and that's because they changed their mind. They changed what their position was on dying, and instead of just succumbing to death, they were like, no, like, I am a vibrant being, and I know that I can lick this, and I know that I not just fight it, but like heal it inside you, heal yourself from the inside out. And I think that's one of the realizations of the Five of Cups card, is you can really see the beautiful potential if you just turn around and look at it, just like with those upright cups in that picture, and just know that you are so important and that your life on this planet is so meaningful that you don't want to just focus on the bad. I mean, that there's so much beauty to be had when you don't ignore that something's happening. That's not what I mean. But I mean, if someone, like, for example, like, if there's some kind of trauma that of child in your sphere of influence or in your world is experiencing, you know, save that beautiful being by modeling the love that they need. Be a model of what you want to attract. So, I mean, I've watched like a lot of law of attraction videos that say, like, if you want to know a sign that you're gonna start making a lot more money, earning a lot more of your own wages and abundance, um, look at the 5 people who are closest to you in the world, and if they are more, if they complain a lot, then maybe start, reassessing why they're in your life or whatever, and just surround yourself with people who are modeling what you want to emulate. So for example, like, my best friend since middle school, her birthday's today, she's 30 today, and I love her so much. And I know that with her she just bought a home with her boyfriend, and I'm so happy for her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, does that mean that gives me the opportunity to open that kind of world up for myself because my best friend did? And I'm like, yeah, the hope, and so, and a lot of times the people you hang out with the most are within the same income bracket as you. And a lot of times people who like are around people who are just like college bound or they're students and they're broke or whatever, then a lot of times that would be the kind of realm that you'll operate in. That doesn't mean you just stop being friends with them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the likelihood that you'll be able to manifest wealth in your life is somewhat contingent upon what you hear every day from your friends and family. So if you're hearing something like, oh, and money does not grow on trees, actually money does grow on trees because money is made out of paper. Money is paper, and paper comes from trees. Crystal, I see you smiling, and Ricky, yeah. So yeah, so I mean, and look at all these ways we can make money online now. Whereas like when our parents were growing up, they may have said like, oh, you know, the arts are way too hard to break into. But it's like actually there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Etsy, like all these different places. There's Patreon, so many different, you know, build your own website, you know, all these different ways people can make money doing what they love, art or not, you know. And it's like, I mean, there's this woman I watch with law of attraction videos, and her name is Sunny Lenarduzzi, and she reached 8 figures recently in her business that she started from home. And it's like, and she doesn't even work hard. She has like automatic streams of income. She gets paid for things she created before. It's different systems, learning, you know, YouTube bosses online. Like she committed herself to excellence, and now she doesn't even need to work. She makes so much money. I don't even like that term, makes money. Like, we are money. We are currency, right? Like, we are energy, charge, electricity, water, and flow. As human beings, as creatures on this planet, we generate energy. And energy can neither be created nor destroyed. And we are the money that flows and the energy that is so important. We offer a service that nobody else can give exactly like. There needs to be something where we realize that we are invaluable, that we are so valuable that it's like it's scary almost that we can achieve so much. And I think one of the keys with learning tarot too is that we're dialing into the subconscious mind, and to know where some of those blocks and barriers can be at times with us is so important. And these cards can be a tool to reach into that, because they're so full of symbols and numerology and astrology. I mean, each card has zodiac signs connected to it, which is what I'll get into more when I have the Tarot for Beginners class with Unity of Ukaipa on Friday, February 12th at 6:30 Pacific. But there's so much to be had, um, and there's so much to explore because knowledge is infinite. Knowledge is the expression of spirit reaching to us. I mean, there's that whole idea of let's see. Oh, tear in my beer, Hank Williams changes David. Yes, very nice, Michelle. Thank you. That's beautiful. I'll have to look those up. Um, but there is so much endless opportunity. I mean, we are services. Like the services that we provide each other and ourselves, they're priceless, because you know what? Like, we are infinite beings in a body, and this is how we are materially experiencing the ability to have free will. If we were not physical bodies on this earth, if did not inhabit physical bodies, we wouldn't be able to interact with this world the way that we can. So that's a message of all these different mediums of understanding the world and social media and all these ways we connect with each other, that knowledge is infinite. And I mean, look at the Roman myth of Prometheus. He took fire from the heavens and gave it to earth, to the humans, so they could have the knowledge of good and evil. And that's just a beautiful analogy to me. I mean, with all these different insights with numerology and all these are messages from spirit that are meeting us right where we are right now. we don't have to do or be anybody else than who we are. And we can be accepted in that by ourselves and with others and within ourselves, and know that we are enough, that we are more than enough, that we are so just driven toward our passions. We need to just remind ourselves as soon as we wake up, this is a brand new baby day. And that anything that I say is just, I hope it can be as like a hallmark for any of you who want to continue doing any kind of this intuitive work, the psychic work, however you want to continue with tarot. Just know that ultimately we're just walking each other home, and these tools are there to help remind us of the importance of that mission. So I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. Are there any other comments or any insights that want to be shared any time right now? Anybody? Do you guys mind if I stop screen sharing? I'm gonna see. Stop share, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Can you guys see everybody now? Okay. Yay. Any reflections? Anything? Vicky?
I just wanted to ask you, do you have like a favorite suit or favorite, and any comment about different, like if you get a certain like a cups or pentacles or whatever, something that comes to your mind? I myself, like I always thought that swords are the most negative.
Yeah, because that's the challenge too. Because the swords are about air and about the mind. And the mind has to deal with the most inputted information that can be challenging to it and to its preconceived notions, right? But there are other cards and other suits that are negative too. For example, the Ten of Wands. That's a burden, right? That's a burden that wants to be unloaded. Because remember, like in the card, this guy's carrying all these wands. He's pushing them forward. He's just about to give up. He's about to surrender and release. My favorite suit is probably Wands, simply because we found out, Ricky, recently with that tarot court personality test that Michelle had us do, that I'm a queen of wands. So I'm water of fire. And I thought that was beautiful. Because they're the card, I mean, they're the energy and element of fire, but directly corresponding to soul. Just like water is corresponding to the heart, the cups, and just like swords is air to the mind, and then pentacles is body, earth. And so, and then in Wicca, like we say that the fifth element is spirit. So spirit is ether. It's the same thing. That's why the major arcana are the fifth element, whereas the minor arcana are the cups, swords, pentacles, and wands. So to answer your question, yeah, like wands, but I also see that I love the way they intersect. There's this, I follow Colette Baron Reed, who creates a lot of Oracle deck stuff, and I have her Wisdom of the Oracle, and I have her Spirit Animal Oracle, and I'm in her Oracle circle now, and she reads 22 cards for each month, and she sees how they intersect and how they line up, and how this column means January, or the first, for the month, I mean for the year, and then the first week is this, and then it goes like that for the 4 weeks. And I think that's really interesting way to read it. You see how they communicate with each other and you can even look at cards and say, like, for example, how on the Five of Swords the guy's looking this way? Well, you can see what the card is pointing to. So if you have several cards in a row, and then you see that like one of the characters and the card is looking left or right, you can say, oh, he's pointing to that energy of what's next to him. Does that make sense? Like the way you line up the cards?
Yeah, there are so many details with everything. I mean, the numbers have a meaning, and then the suits have a meaning, and a lot to learn. But that's what makes it interesting, I think.
It does its own language,
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Crystal, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I did. Oh, okay. So it was just a quick question. You talked about this last night too, and I never heard of it. You said you like to do Oracle? And I thought oracle was a noun as a person. I thought it was what a person calls themselves. And
It
so you
is.
said that. And then you mentioned it tonight. And I'm like, what exactly is it?
This is an oracle deck. Okay, it's goddess guidance, and it has a theme. It's a divination set of cards, just like tarot is divination. But
Okay.
oracle is free form. Oracle can be about anything under the sun. For example, I have an oracle on angel guide. I have an oracle on the divine feminine. I have an oracle on star seeds, like our origin in the stars before we're born on Earth. I have a Avalon, like King Arthur oracle. They're like, they can be about anything, and they can be however many number of cards as you want. For example, a lot of cards that I have are 44-ish number in there, like instead of 78 with the tarot. And then even with tarot, you could add cards like oracle, like you can add, like for example, in my Tarot of Dreams deck, each suit has a palace associated with it: Palace of Swords, Palace of Cups. But with oracle, it can be about anything, and you have any kind of message and any kind of guidebook that you want. Tarot is more of like a almost like a science, because it has universal meanings. Each card, no matter what deck you use, there should be some similar derivative meanings of each card. But with oracle, I mean, I'll show you this deck, for example, the goddess guidance. Like, for example, like this is a Abundancia prosperity card. The universe is pouring its abundance out to you. Be open to receiving. This is Isis, past life. The situation involves your past life memories, and then there's like a guidebook with it usually. So it could be anything, and I'm actually reading a great book right now that talks about an oracle as a being, as a woman in Delphi in Greece, and but it could also be just a way of divining something. It could be a way of understanding key components of what may come about. I mean, I don't lean toward trying to predict the future, because everyone has free will. But there's an element on the Celtic cross, where the last card on the Celtic cross spread, that card is what could happen if you stay on the path that you're now on.
Okay.
But like, for example, say somebody is coming to me for a reading, they want to know if they're going to buy a new home. But then they get the outcome as, oh yes, they're buying a new home. But what if after the reading they decide to not do it? They decide to stay where they are. Then the outcome card's not going to apply because she changed her mind. Or
Right.
something happened where they couldn't do it anymore, you know.
Right.
So it's so relative that way. But yeah, so Oracle is a great tool. Fairy Oracle, Unicorn Oracle, Wise Masters of the Ascended Realms. Like, it could be anything just like that, you know. I have a Rumi Oracle, Rumi the poet. I have a couple oracles centered around him and his poetry. And which is why a lot of people, when they get inspired by any kind of readings or divination or cartomancy, they get really interested in oracle, because there's so many ways you can express oracle. I even heard about an oracle that had more cards in it than even the tarot does. It was like an 84 card deck, and I was like, whoa, like, that's pretty cool. So anything under the sun. Oracle that's why I read both. Like, I've actually had with Holistic Registry, I've actually had demos where I've brought out like 20, 30 different decks of cards, and people actually physically touched them and went through them and found their message, and I read for them right there in a group setting and in person.
That's cool.
Yeah. And my church, Unity, hosts Oracle Fest. So I've been to a few. I've read for a few different events there, and it's just a beautiful scenario. I mean, my reverend at Unity is an Akashic record reader. She reads your book of life and tells you where you were incarnated before.
Wow.
What your soul signature is, and like so many amazing things. So I just love that my church, that Unity, and the Center for Spiritual Living, my other church, the Center for Spiritual Living, that they're so supportive of this kind of work, the light work, where for me, a light worker is somebody who knows their purpose and they want to, and maybe even if they're a little unclear on it, they just know they want to help people or help us ascend to 5D more readily, you know,
Right.
help us to have conscious evolution happen for all of us and for the sake of reaching closer to the kingdom of earth heaven, you know.
Right. Thank you. I'll have to book an oracle reading from you because I posted your website on Facebook and I saw it there too. So I'll book
Yeah, I
one.
would love that so much, and I'd give you like a discount.
Okay, good. No, I
Yeah.
would like to have that done. I've never had it done since I just learned about it. So
I
that'd be
give
fun.
in-depth oracle readings. I mean, I've had a friend of mine gave me a reading just by sensing the energy in the room, and then the next week, in order to pay her for that, I gave her a total oracle reading, and she loved it. I have, and one of my favorite decks is the Animal Spirit deck. And it has all these adorable animals and their corresponding meanings. It's so sweet. You have like, you know, like the eagle or the whale or the elephant or the unicorn. And it's like, it's amazing. So maybe you and I could work on that together. We'll do it. And
Yeah.
you have my info,
I'll book
right?
it.
Facebook.
I
and-
do. I'll book it tonight.
Yay, I love that. Any of you, please reach out to me. And here, I'll put my,
And
oh,
Judith has a question too.
yeah, go ahead.
She wrote it in the chat. It says, which deck will you be working with in your class?
Oh, thank you for showing me that, Michelle. Yeah, I will be working with the Radiant Rider-Waite, which is like just a more color saturated version of the Rider-Waite. And I will also be working with the After Tarot, which is the scene right after the typical scene in the Rider-Waite Smith. So like in the Rider-Waite Smith, the traditional scene in the Two of Cups, these people, a man and a woman, are approaching each other with a cup, but in the After Tarot, they're embracing. So it shows the scene right after the original depiction.
What will you be doing in your class?
I will be going over like the correspondences of all the, like I'll do like what I did tonight, but with more of a cohesive, comprehensive feel. So it's gonna be more interactive with like some games and, you know, getting into the cards type games. I'll do that, and it's 2 hours. So it's not that long. It's 6:30 to 8:30 Pacific on Friday, February 12th. So not this
February 12th.
Friday, but next Friday.
Okay.
And I'd
Good.
love to see everyone who comes to that session, to that teaching session, will get a free reading from me.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna put my number.
How do we book it?
I'll put in the link right now. You could actually just book with me through my phone number, and I'll send out like text. What I'm gonna do is I'll send out a group text to everyone who wants to send me their who wants to text me to the number I just put in the chat, and then I'll create a new conversation thread about tarot and about the classes.
Oh, good. Okay.
So everyone will be included in that thread, and everyone will get updates.
And do you just pay by PayPal or how do you pay for it?
Yes, PayPal. Yeah. I can. Do you want me to put that in the chat? Here, I'll put it right now. Let's see. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm so honored. I love this work. I'm so about it, you know. Thank you so much for being here. And I have a website and I have a daily Instagram and Facebook card of the day. So that's free as well. You just get those updates. That's the PayPal link in the chat.
Okay.
Are you able to see that, Linda? Or I'll text that everyone out too if they
Okay.
text me.
Yeah. I don't see it there.
Okay.
But-
But I have your email already, so I'll just send you the PayPal link and the updated.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'd be
class.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll send you the class link and all that. Let's see. Anybody else have any comments or questions or concerns?
I think the class was really, really good. I like comprehended tonight very well. So
You did?
you.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
such a beautiful gift.
That's
No,
good.
I really did. It was good. I got it.
Yeah.
Linda, what were you saying, Linda?
I enjoyed it. It was good. It's nice just to do one area like that you can concentrate on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that we'll keep evolving with as we continue on this path, because I'm gonna just have these every Tuesday indefinitely. So, you know, because Michelle does her Mystical Mondays every Monday, and I'm thankful for that. And that's something that is very valuable too.
Mhm.
So
I have one more question.
yes,
You said that you used the bright colored right away.
it's called,
I-
yeah, it just Rider Waite is fine, like the regular one. I have one that's a little more saturated in the colors on it. It's called Radiant Rider Waite, but I mean, the ones I have right here are just the original. See, these are the 5s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have these too, so it's fine.
so there's no, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I like the bold pops of color.
Because I have both and somebody said, oh, it's too bright. You have to use the original that's more muted or something. So anyhow,
No, it's
just
it's
wondering.
just aesthetics. It's just aesthetics.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
different preferences. Yeah. So please, everybody, go ahead and text me and let me know that you want to be involved in future events, and I'll make sure I can remind you guys before Tarot Tuesdays, and I can send you guys the information on the Tarot for Beginners class on the 12th.
Okay.
Yes, and anybody who wants to reach out to me, please do so. This is a very encouraging and supportive platform. And I just want you all to know that you have beautiful, radiant spiritual gifts that I want to see further realized. And I think all of us can agree on that.
Thank you.
You, Ellen.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank
Go ahead
you.
and text me, everybody. Some of you have your info already, but it'd be easier if you guys just texted me now, and then I could immediately include you in the conversation thread.
Oh, okay. I'll get off this and I can text. I can go on my,
Bye.
good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, leave. Leave me.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
You too.